Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the amazing Brandon. You may know him as I Like Scary. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. I'm doing great, man.
Dude, it's such an honor to have you here. If my voice is still a little rough, for those of you that participate in the live streams, you know that I'm getting over the flu, but we're battling it out, we're sweating it out, and we are whoring it out in a good way to sit here and talk to you guys. So a little bit about Brandon. He's been an artist and a horror fan his whole life. Later on, horror kind of outgrew the rest of it. But he's not only into horror movies, which I think is super dope because your collection behind you is just fucking so sick, off the charts.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But you're also into real life serial killers. Now, obviously that's something that's a lot different. Now they are the same, but they're different. When you read about real life killers or you study about real life killers, there's a lot of intricacies that you don't get with film and a lot of patterns and stuff like that you don't get with film. What got you into, I want to talk about that first. We'll talk horror enough, but what got you into like the real life, serial killer type movement?
Oh, man. It was one killer, man. Richard Ramirez. So he started it for me, man. The Night Stalker, it was just the thought of I'm kind of want to know what goes on in the brain of a serial killer, kind of like what makes them do it and feel comfortable enough taking a life from someone and doing it over and over and over again, like Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, Charles Manson. They didn't do too much, but the main one for me is Richard Ramirez, and I just want to know like what goes on in a serial killer's mind to make them do that and feel comfortable in their skin doing it. We get Michael Myers and stuff like that, but they're not real. When it comes to someone being real, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Richard Ramirez and Ted Bundy and people, John Wayne Gacy, those people, man, when they committed murders, bro, it was very different. Especially Richard Ramirez, man. They actually called him the devil. That's the closest we will get to Satan, and it was just like, man, he's a human just like me. Do we think the same? Like what, like.
Right.
Why does he do what he does? It was almost like me just want to know what goes on in their brain type, almost something like that.
See, and here's where I am torn on this because people could say I can't picture me murdering someone. Now, I'm not trying to be dark and I'm not trying to be, I can picture me doing that. Now, could I picture me doing that? Just breaking into someone's house, Night Stalker-esque, going in through the window after I've been spying on them, sexually assault them and kill them? No, of course not. But I do have 2 daughters. I do have a son. I do have a wife that I would kill and die for. If someone came in this house and it's my wife, my daughters, my son, or this person, I'll Rick Grimes bite their throat right out of their fucking body, man. Like, I got no problem picturing myself breaking someone's neck to protect my children. Now, like I said, I'm with you to be able to swap minds with a serial killer for 5 minutes just to understand the the sociopath that's in there, like the complete lack of empathy. Because that to me is fascinating, and I don't mean that as a glamour, glamorizing it. Like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to glorify. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. Glamorize and glorify. Trying to put them together. I'm not trying to glorify what a serial killer does. It's wrong. It's disgusting. You're ruining so many lives when you do that. But you're right. Like, what pushes you? What's that? Was it something that happened as a kid? Is it true that they started off killing frogs down by the creek and then that turned into Ted Bundy beating a woman with a piece of wood and sexually assaulting her with it? Like, that's something to me that's just unfathomable. I couldn't possibly imagine putting someone through that type of punishment and torture. So I definitely understand what you're saying about the intrigue. And it's funny because when we talk about stuff like this, people are like, well, you shouldn't glorify a killer. We're not glorifying them. We're not making them immortal. We just want to know what the fuck is wrong with you. How did you get there? Because we empathize with people. We have families. We have loved ones that we empathize with. We watch the news. We see these terrible things and we empathize with these people and we want the best for everybody. I can't imagine looking at somebody and wondering what their liver tastes like. That's just a thought that's never crossed my mind when I've looked at another human being. So now let's kind of squeeze over into the art part of it real quick, because art is such a wide array of things. Whether you're making music, you're making paintings, you're making YouTube videos, it's all art and it's all subjective. And I hope that everybody loves art and is acceptance of all forms of art. Now, when you say that you grew up as an artist, what do you mean by that?
I'm self-taught. You know, I was one of those kids in class. I used to doodle a lot, and everyone used to see my work and like, hey man, you should take it serious. You know, I took it serious about say 2 years ago. I was doing work for people who lost their loved ones. They asked me, you know, do portraits of them and stuff like that. I drew celebrities, and you know, I just did a whole bunch of everything. And I was actually getting to the point it became a business for me. I had an Instagram for it and everything, but I just didn't. I asked myself, you know, like, could I do this for the rest of my life? And I'm like, man, I can't. You know, sometimes drawing gets boring, and I'm like, so you know, I've always been a horror fan since I was a kid. And then actually, my art kind of transferred over to horror because this guy back here, that mask, I did that myself. I do rehauls actually. So far,
Is that William Shatner? Is that who that is back there?
It's the shape itself, man. But yeah, you know, it just transferred over, and now I do like rehauls and stuff like that. So I'm kind of happy though that it adjusted to horror. So now I can, you know, yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. Every decision we make pushes us into the next one. And that's got you where you are today with I Like Scary, which we were able to meet through some mutual friends.
Yeah.
And I, you know, Craving Something Scary, Carrie Crave Cinema, some of these amazing friends, Tatum, some people that really introduced us and got us pushed to work together. And I'm still grateful for this community, you know, because I've met some of the best friends that I have. But my thing is, without this community, my life wouldn't be as full as it is either.
Yeah.
Now, what gave you the kick in the ass to finally be like, you know what? I want to start streaming on YouTube. I want to start making YouTube videos. What gave you the push to be like, this is it. This is what I want to do?
So, all right. When I first, you know, wanted to start a YouTube, it was what's behind me. I wanted to collect. I always wanted this dream room with like props and life-size things. So I was like, man, I think it would be cool to do a YouTube to just, you know, be able to reach out to other horror fans, because it's horror fans out there, but it's not too many to talk to or consider friends or anything. So, you know, I got involved with like conventions and everything. I'm like, man, I just want to, you know, make something solid. I want to do something solid and cement it. So how about I try this YouTube thing out and, you know, try to just show people, you know, my love for horror and everything. So I started it. I started getting things and doing unboxings on like Michael Myers figures, Freddy. People enjoyed it. And I kind of, you know, moved over to doing like trailer reactions and you know, things like that. And I used to get, you know, to move on to me live streaming, I used to get a lot of people in my comments like, hey man, this is sick, this is cool. I'm like, man, I'm communicating with them, but I'm not there. Like, I'm not communicating enough. I want to be able to keep it going fluidly and ongoing. And one day I streamed and Fright Night Fridays, and it went from there, you know, and it became a thing.
It's funny because making videos and doing live streams, while they're both on the YouTube platform, I compare them often just like I compare acting on film and acting in theater to being a musician. That's how I also compare YouTube videos compared to YouTube streaming. Like with a video, you're doing all the behind the scenes work. That's recording your record.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing all the work and then you got to release it and wait. But when you're doing a live stream, it's just like you're playing a show and you're getting that instant gratification. You have the people in the crowd that are right there cheering or booing or whatever right in your face. So you're getting that instant gratification. You don't have to wait for your video to drop to see what people thought of it, even though you edited it and worked your ass off on it 3.5 weeks ago and you're waiting for it to drop. So I do agree. They're both so much fun, so amazing for two completely different reasons. And if you guys haven't had the privilege of checking out I Like Scary yet, you don't have to go far because all his links, social media and YouTube, are right down here in the description. So make sure you're following him on social media. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube so that way you can become a part of the family and you can check out some of these Friday Night Frights as well. But now, Brandon, in order for you to be into horror and have a love for horror, it had to start somewhere, man. So I want to go back to the past, Brandon, and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And back by popular demand, my friend, your first horror movie was
Halloween 1978, man. I swear, man, I've been catching myself telling this story a lot lately this year. You know, I was raised by my grandmother, and she's very religious, like church every Sunday. But it was something with her. Like she went to church, but she loved horror movies, and her main guy was Michael Myers. And it was this
Mhm.
store where I stayed. It was called FYE. They sold like VHS, DVDs, video games, and
Mhm.
we used to catch ourselves going in there. And I swear, man, I'm younger. I'm 24, so I really could not remember when they were dropping Halloween films. I just remember going to FYE and finding it in the horror movie section. But I remember she had got Halloween 78, and it was the freaking VHS case that had the reflective Michael face. And we went home, and this might sound crazy, you guys, but I really didn't get what Michael's supposed to be by looking at the case of the movie. Make a long story short, we watch it. We watch it. And my grandmother, she's been. I didn't. That was my first time getting introduced to him. I just remember seeing, mostly just this guy. No, not even seeing his face. Just seeing him stalk, like that scene where Tommy Doyle falls on a pumpkin. You just see Michael's coveralls. Make a long story short, it gets to the part where he kills Bob and everything. I'm just in it. I'm like, man, this is creepy. Like this is weird. We don't even see who this guy is. We just hear this loud breathing and then we get introduced to him. Like I told you, Sledge, man, when he comes out the darkness behind Jamie Lee, that moment right there, and he's walking down the stairs and the music is going on. I'm like, man, this is something right here. And I just caught myself being a fan. I just loved everything about him, the walk, the look, the creepiness to him, the breathing, the score of it, Laurie Strode. I just grew to love it.
A
That was my
slow
first.
burn that really, really has a huge climax. This is a
Yes.
movie that it will go down
Mhm.
in the annals of history as one of the best horror movies ever made.
Yeah.
And even if you don't consider it an amazing horror movie, like myself, I'm not a huge Halloween fan. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not shitting on the movie. It's just not for me. I've never been a huge Myers fan, and there's a
Yeah.
good reason to that. But
Mhm.
if anybody tries to deny the impact that Halloween had on the horror genre or Michael
Yeah.
Myers had on the horror genre, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
You just are. Now, as I've grown older, I've grown to really appreciate and respect what Halloween is as a franchise. As a
Yeah.
kid, I had first watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Then I
Yeah.
watched Friday the 13th Part 3. And
Mhm.
I'm watching these killers that are so inventive and so crazy. And then you watch Halloween and it's very slow and it's just a guy with a knife. So to me as a young boy, it was boring. I was like, this is boring.
Yeah.
This is boring. But then the older I got, I was like, you know what? This is way scarier than the other
Yeah.
two because, like the part where they push him and then he comes back in the light and he's just a guy. And then he
Yeah.
pulls that mask back over. You're like, you know what? This could be my neighbor. This isn't
Yeah.
a burned up monster in my sleep. This isn't a demon boy that drowned in the lake and got brought back by the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
This is a man, a human man that could be my next door neighbor that just snapped and started killing people. So
Yeah.
like I said, as a kid, Myers kind of bored me. I was like, yeah, this is the white
Mhm.
bread of horror right here. As an adult, I've grown to understand that being a filmmaker and
Yeah.
creating a horror movie is not just about how inventive the kills are. There's a
Yeah.
lot more that goes into like you said, the shape appears
Yeah.
behind Laurie. Iconic. In my opinion, one of the best lines in any movie ever. You can't kill the boogeyman.
Yeah. You can't
That's
kill the boogeyman.
one of the best lines. The way
Yeah.
they you can't kill the boogeyman. Like that's
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I got little emo goosebumps right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it's just one of those lines that stuck with me as a kid. Like
Yeah.
even though I was never a huge fan of Halloween, that
Mhm.
always stuck with me. And I like I said, as an adult, I love and respect the franchise, the score of the first one.
Yeah.
As the franchise went on, and the longevity, they're
Mhm.
still making bad. I loved 2018.
Yeah.
I liked Kills the first time I seen it,
Mhm.
and I've grown to love it.
Yeah.
Once you can get past the shady dialogue and stupid
Yeah.
choices made throughout the movie,
Yeah.
it's a fun movie
Yeah.
It's a slasher. Like, that's what we want with our films. We bitch that we don't get a slasher. We get a slasher that we bitch it's not. That didn't have the best dialogue I've ever heard. What the hell's going on? You know, so horror fans can never be happy. But so we talked a little bit about which scene affected you the most, being the shape appearing behind Laurie. But what would you say, Brandon, is your favorite scene from Halloween 78?
If I had to pick one, it has to either be the opening scene where he kills Judith and she's like, Michael, or is when he's chasing Laurie across the street and she's trying to like, give me the keys, and she throws the, you know, the plant pot up there to Tommy Doyle to come down and get the door, and he just sees Michael, he's walking across the street, and it's like, oh my. Yes, it probably is that one, to be honest. It's like, it's wild when you look at that scene.
Two iconic scenes, man.
Yeah.
Two iconic
yeah, it's like, bro, it's crazy. So
because when I think of this movie, like if you ask me like Halloween 78, first thing that pops in your head, Michael chasing Laurie across that street. That's the first thing. Either that or you can't kill the boogeyman. Those are the two things for me that always stuck with me, you know. Or it could be I shot him 6 times, you know, like it could be something like that. But you know, like say what you want. Donald Pleasance, yes, you're an overactor. Donald Pleasance, yes, you were the perfect actor for Dr. Loomis. It's just like Matthew Lillard with Stu. Did he overact that part? Yes. Could anybody else have done it? No. Like,
I agree.
There are some things where you look at the role and you're like, you know what? That role was written for that person.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Loomis. You know, that role was written for Donald Pleasance. So let's get dark here, my friend.
All right.
Let's go dark time here for a second.
All right.
So obviously as horror fans, we love the kills. We love to see the kills. It's something that, you know, we live vicariously through as horror fans. So what kill from Halloween 78 would you say is your favorite or stuck with you the most?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the Bob kill scene when he's choking him and he pins him up on the door, and then you can hear like he's breathing like a dog or something, like, and you just hear that loud boom when he just plants that knife right there and he starts looking at him like he's admiring his art, like, I did that. Yeah, he's doing the head tilt, and people overlook that when he's doing the head tilt. That's like Michael admiring his art, like, I put you up there, I pinned you on that door.
He's still got that child's mind, man.
Yeah,
you know, like he's looking at Bob like a kid looks at their picture when their mom puts it on the fridge with the magnets. You know, like, wow, I've made it to the big time now. I made it to the fridge. You know, like that's his my mom put my drawing on the fridge moment. And that's honestly, this is gonna kind of segue us into my next question, but that's honestly what I was not a fan of in the remake of Rob Zombie's Halloween. So were you a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween? I usually ask, like, would you like to see your first horror movie remade today? Obviously, we've had that with Rob Zombie's Halloween. Obviously, I don't count 2018 because that's not a remake. It's a prequel. It's a continuation of the story. But were you a fan of Rob Zombie's take on the Halloween franchise?
So I wasn't a fan of him explaining Michael, like making like almost kind of bringing us some sympathy, like making us feel for him because he comes from a messed up home and stuff like that. It's just like, you don't want Michael to be explained. It makes him scarier when he's unknown. So when you try to humanize Michael, it's like you don't want to do that because it takes away the mystery of the boogeyman. And you know, the reason I do like is because I like Tyler Mane, man. Him being 7 foot, he was a scary Michael Myers. And you know, but other than that, I do enjoy it better than the second one. It's not one of my, you know, like, oh man, it's the best. But if Rob Zombie would have not explained Michael, you would have had a better film.
He had the darkest eyes, the devil's eyes. It wasn't because he got picked on or anything like that. He was empty. He was nothing.
Yeah,
that's what I love. That's like making a new Freddy and him being like, I'm not bad, I'm misunderstood. Ha! You know, like, that doesn't work for me, man. Like, you're a monster. That's it. I don't need to feel sympathy for you because your mom was a stripper and your stepdad wanted the skull fucker at the breakfast table. I don't care about all that shit. I want the mystique and the mystery of you are just a soulless sociopath from a young age wanted to inflict pain and harm on other people. Wow, this did get pretty dark. But we talked about your first horror movie, man, and what that means to you. But
Mhm.
now I gotta go scream on you here for a second, man. My buddy
Oh, yeah.
Ghostface is here and he has a question for you.
All
What's
right.
your favorite scary movie, Brandon? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
I'm gonna see. I'm a huge Chucky fan,
Mhm.
but I do love, Scream. So right now, if you're wondering like where my mind is doing, it's between Child's Play and Scream.
Like
It's
the
like,
OGs of each one?
yeah, the OGs of each one is going like this, but I'm gonna have to go with Scream. I'm about to go with Scream because that was, oh my, with Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard with Nev Campbell, you cannot get away from that. And that was one of my films I grew up on too. Scream, and it was just it was different. It was a new
Yeah.
feel of horror when they came with that. It was different. It changed the game. After that, you got stuff like Urban Legend and everything following behind it. It just Scream. I'm going with Scream.
I look at Scream the same way I look at Halloween.
Yeah.
Like whether you loved it or hate it, because I grew up in an era where I remember seeing Scream in the movie theater when it came
Yeah.
out. Like I'm an old man. And at that time, this may sound funny, but Scream got a lot of hate. And a lot of younger people don't realize how much hate Scream got because
Yeah.
they looked at it as, oh, this is a mainstream movie. This is trying to make horror movies cool.
Yeah.
Like this is like when Blink 182 released What's My Age Again, and we're like, oh, they're not punk anymore,
Yeah.
fucking sellout posers. Like that's what this was, their horror's sellout moment. I loved it. I've always loved Scream. I got Scream tattoo here. But it did get a lot of shit when it first came out. Like people were like, oh, they're just trying to make horror cool and trendy, and they were, and it fucking worked. It fucking worked. I mean, Halloween modeled itself around Scream with Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in Halloween H2O, they're watching Scream 2. It's a paradox.
Yeah.
Like, if they were watching Scream 1, they would have seen Jamie Lee. Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
But so my thing is, you can't deny the impact that, again, just like Halloween, that Scream has had on the horror genre. And when you were talking Child's Play, that's my favorite horror franchise of all time. I think that when it comes to longevity and being a fantastic, and always written and produced and directed by the same people with Don Mancini and his crew, and being able to reinvent itself as it goes, but staying original to its roots. I love the Child's Play franchise. Child's Play 3 is probably in my top 3 favorite horror movies of all time, right behind House and Evil Dead 2. Like my top 3 favorite horror movies are House, Evil Dead 2, and Child's Play 3 in that order. Like I love the franchise. I love those movies so fucking much.
Sledge, you're the first one. I've met a lot of people with horror. I feel like me and you, man, I tell people this all the time. When it comes to Child's Play 3, it's like people don't respect it, bro. Him being in the army, oh my, bro, I love Child's Play 3. It's like top 5 for me.
They sleep on that film, dude. But like Chucky's got the best one-liners in that film.
Yeah.
The deaths in that film are incredible. It has a lot of emotion. It has characters that are easy to hate easily. Well, I won't say easily, because Child's Play 2 had a great third act as well in the factory. But that, the festival when you got Chucky getting his face cut off, like I will fight to the death for Child's Play 3. That movie is so fucking good. It's funny. It's got great characters. It's scary. In my opinion, has the saddest death with the garbage man, when he's trying to get out of the garbage truck, and then you got Whitehurst throwing himself on the grenade to save the people that have been fucking with him the whole time. Like, dude, the story arcs, the character arcs in that film, hands down, second to none, the best. And you got the fucking dad from Hellraiser cutting people's hair. Presto, you're bald. Holy shit, man. Presto,
I love it.
You're dead.
Yeah.
It's you. It's fucking so good, man.
Yeah. Tyler. Oh yeah. I enjoyed. A lot of people are like, no, I don't enjoy the Tyler character. I love Tyler, like the lunchroom scene. He's playing a little game, bro. Yes,
Game Gear, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's funny because like I was so anticipating. Did you watch the Child's Play TV series?
Yeah.
I thought Devin was going to turn out to be Tyler's son, and they were going to introduce Tyler back into the fold.
Yeah.
As Devin's biological father.
That would have been cool.
Dude, I was like, that'd been so dope because I would love to have had him, or bring De Silva back. She comes back and she's still in love with Andy. please make Child's Play 3 canon again.
Yeah, that would have been so cool.
This, please.
That would have been cool.
So, man, I've really appreciated your time, Brandon. It really means a lot to me to still have creators want to come on and tell me about how horror started for them. Now, before I let you go, we always end this with the same question. We're going to go back to Halloween 78. And I think I know the answer, man, but according to my script, I have to ask this question. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being very effective. Here's the rub. We're not ranking this on acting, production, score, nothing like that. What we're doing is strictly judging this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So what would your ranking of Halloween 78 be?
It's definitely 5, man.
I'll say if you say anything other than 5, I'm going to tell you to turn around.
Yeah, it's definitely 5. Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like it changed the trajectory of your life. And I'm not saying that in a bad way or anything negative. Like I have one film poster in my room and it's House 1986, the first horror movie that I ever watched, the movie that means more to me than a lot of people on this planet do.
Yeah.
I remember my first horror movie. I remember watching House. I remember I could smell pizza rolls when I watched that movie. I remember everything that happened when I watched that. I can't tell you my first comedy, my first drama. Well, I mean, my first porn was Debbie Does Dallas, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But, you know, I remember my first horror movie like it was fucking yesterday. And I remember my wife and I have been together 17 years. Our first date was to go see War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Like that horror connected me with the person I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life. You know, like
that's awesome.
The genre does more than scare us. It connects us. And anybody, it's amazing to me. You can meet people that are horror fans and you can meet people that are horror fans. Yeah. And I try to tell people, you know, like I know a lot of people that talk shit to people like, oh, you only watch horror around Halloween. Don't talk shit. Invite them in. Listen, guys, horror is just as awesome in November and December.
Yes.
Hang out with us. We'll show you how much cooler it can get.
Yeah.
But when you're in this community, it's all inclusive, man. Obviously, you got gatekeepers that are bullshit assholes. But here, it doesn't matter if you're man, woman, Republican, Democrat, black, white, gay, trans, LGBTQ. The minute that you say, let's talk Freddy Krueger, I'm going to say, welcome to primetime, bitch. I don't care what we got to say after that.
Man. Yeah.
You know, like, it's just like this community crosses all those lines.
Yeah.
You know, we don't care about anything else. All we know is the minute that you're in this community, you're family. And we're going to treat you like such, and we're going to take care of you. And it's funny because we're talking about a community that's based around murderers and killers and sadists.
Yeah.
They're the nicest, kindest, sweetest people you ever hope to meet in your life, man. So, Brandon, don't go anywhere, man. I got a couple more questions for you.
All right.
I do want to remind you guys, you're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll. That curtain's about to drop. But before it does, there are some social media links that need some following, and there's a YouTube link that needs some subscribing to right down here in the description. So make sure that you are getting on that before you exit out of this episode. And until next time, if this is your first time here, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you along for the ride with us. Until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.